MechaBellum is the best auto battler that you've never played. And I don't say that lightly, having played pretty much every auto battler out there. Right now in the current landscape of auto battlers, it feels like every other developer is out there trying to copy the same formula from Teamfight Tactics and Hearthstone Battlegrounds, who are the two most established auto battlers. But MechaBellum has its completely own identity that I think it pulls off really well. 1v1 strategic auto battling chess-like back and forth that has a ton of payoff for learning the game. I picked up the game for a week and I was pit against Box in a show match. And even though I got completely destroyed, I think I finally understand why this game can feel so dang satisfying. Let me tell you all about it. MechaBellum described in 3 words. StarCraft meets Teamfight Tactics. That's 4 words, but let's just say TFT is 1 word. But instead of micromanaging units in real time, you spend resources to deploy your army during a planning phase, and then you watch the carnage unfold. Every round you get resources called supply, and you use it to buy more units, upgrade existing ones, reposition, or invest in higher tier power for future rounds. Not only get to plan what you're doing, but you must predict and counter what your opponent is doing. You then lock in your choice each round and watch your robot army clash against your opponent in a battlefield full of rockets, lasers, nukes, and giant space bugs. It sounds chaotic, and it is, but underneath all the explosion and madness is a game with an immense amount of depth. Each game offers room for immense skill expression with countless solutions and possibilities at every turn. But there's also enough variance in the game to keep replayability high. Between each round, you are offered 4 cards that both you and your opponent can use. A really common strategy will be to take a weapon such as a missile to try and use to disrupt your opponent's army. But they also can do the same thing, so how will you respond? Will you play a shield on your own army? If so, where will you protect? Do you spend money to get a temporary shield for your army to protect important units, or do you let them missile you back and then you try to save your money for a future round? This is where MechaBellum truly shines. What I just described to you was 2 layers of how to play one single part of a round, and there are dozens more ways that you can interact and meaningfully counterplay your opponent depending on what you're playing and what type of strategy that you're bringing to the battle. Because of that fog of war that hides both players' choices, when combat reveals those decisions, you have to choose how to fight back with a wide variety of strategies. Direct confrontation, devious tactics, or maybe even the Hail Mary once in a blue moon strategy that would only work on a content creator who's playing for 1 week. Burn my fortress! No! I lost to Sandworm. I was told this is the worst unit in the game. Oh, man.
Okay, it's not bad at all. Sandworm is really good. It's really tanky.
Oh, my. All right. 3 reasons why I love MechaBellum and why you should play. Reason 1 is something I've already talked about, which is the satisfaction of playing each round like its own little puzzle to solve. There's simply so much room for skill expression on how I want to execute my strategy better, or counterplay my opponent, or potentially predict how he's going to counterplay my opponent and try to counterplay that. It can feel pretty overwhelming at the beginning, but I promise you the payoff feels so rewarding once you start getting the hang of it. And these are not puzzles gated by APM. Some auto battlers present you situations where it feels like it's purely about how fast you can execute the solution. There's none of that in MechaBellum. You have enough time to plan everything out, and you just need to know what your army is lacking and weigh the risk and reward ratio. Number 2, all the small features that show thoughtfulness and a level of polish that I didn't expect from an indie developer. I have to mention my favorite feature, the undo button. Every auto battler needs to steal that idea immediately, by the way. Because of how intricate some turns could be, having this undo button does so much to make sure that the game feels smooth without feeling super punishing if you make a mistake you didn't mean to. There are also other things like automated camp controls to give you cinematic views of the battle, a replay and spectator feature to learn from high-level players. You can even add some stakes in the spectator mode by predicting who will win. You earn a fake in-game currency called Insight. It has no monetary value, but it adds some stakes to the game, so it's pretty fun. There's even an in-game tournament system with different skill divisions, detailed stat breakdowns, and rewards for the winners. I'm honestly jealous of this coming from an auto battler game where we struggle to even get a single feature that doesn't break the client, let alone all of these bells and whistles. Reason number 3, it's a one-time purchase for everything up front. No BS, no microtransaction bloat, no pay for power, none of that. At $15, this might be some of the best bang for your buck money spent for what you can get out of the auto battler genre. There are ways to spend money if you want, like such as cosmetics to make your mechs look a little bit cooler. And there are a couple things that are time gated, but you can unlock it very quickly. You can customize a unit's upgrade arsenal loadout to make it play a little bit differently than its traditional role. For example, you can try to make a tank unit like Fortress a little bit more offensive instead of just being a pure tank. To unlock that costs you 1 token, which you get for playing 1 game. So to rework all 4 of your abilities takes 4 games. It's that easy. It's not a perfect game though, so here are a couple things that I hope that the devs keep refining. The first is that the visual clarity of battles can be a little messy at times. Explosions are everywhere, there's no health bars, and sometimes it's just absolute mayhem, and it's hard to tell who's winning until the last second. When you compare to something like StarCraft, it feels easy to tell when the momentum is shifting, but sometimes I'm losing track of what's happening in the battle. The second is performance of the game itself. I like to think that I have a pretty solid PC rig, but I still had some stutter during some big moments. And while the whole payoff is watching your plan unfold in cinematic glory, lag can really kill the vibe. Lastly, I wish there were some post-game or post-round stats that would help you figure out what exactly happened and what went wrong. Something like a damage breakdown, here's what worked after the game, your best unit MVP was X, here's like a pivotal turn that happened. Just something instead of just going back to lobby. It feels like I wasn't able to immediately learn unless I had someone explain to me what was going on. And that clear feedback will help new players learn even faster without having to go to YouTube or just consult some strategy guides. So, should you play MechaBellum? If you're into deep strategic games that reward mastery and you don't mind a bit of a learning curve, then absolutely. This might be one of the best games that you'll ever play in this genre. Just don't expect to win your first few matches and don't expect too much from the tutorial. But once it starts clicking, you'll start to see exactly what I'm talking about and why this game can feel so good. So give it a shot. It's only $15 on Steam. It's high value for the amount of gaming hours that you can get. They also have free-to-play weekends and discounts from time to time, so make sure to check out that link below and see what's going on. And thanks again to the MechaBellum devs for sponsoring this video. I had a great time learning, and I can see myself playing the game again in the future. If you want to check out the game, there's a link below. See you guys out there in the battlefield.